Hello everybody, and it's our second day of our character description, all about our home learning mascots. And today our job is again to write descriptively, but today we're thinking, so we've already looked at how your mascot looks, its appearance. Today we're thinking about how it moves, okay? And of course we're going to have to use our imaginations a bit for this, okay? So, we're looking today at verbs, action words, okay? The doing words in a sentence. So in terms of how we move, we often walk or run. But can you think of any more interesting verbs that describe movement? So more interesting verbs for movement. Well, don't worry if you can't think of any, because we are going to go through some, okay? So I've got a list here of some different verbs which might help you today. I've got march, stroll, dart, scurry, stomp, slither, stumble, dash, hurry, and dawdle. Now I could go through each of these verbs and explain the definitions, but I thought it'd be more fun to just act them out. So over to Outdoors Mr. Lake, who's going to act out these verbs for you. So first up is marching. You might think we're marching, that's what soldiers do, but we don't just use it in that context. It's also when you're walking somewhere with a purpose. So I'm going to march off now. Okay, so next up is stroll. If you stroll somewhere, it's like a nice leisurely walk. You're in no rush to get somewhere. I'm kind of thinking put your hands in your pockets. You might whistle. Next up is dart. So if you dart off, you're essentially running away, but you do it quite suddenly like this. So next is scurrying. When you scurry, I kind of think of like a mouse. They scurry, little animals scurry. A mouse might scurry looking for cheese, so I'm sort of scurrying around. Next up is stomp. You might stomp if you have an argument with somebody and you storm off. You also associate stomp with like bigger animals, like elephants. So that's big, sort of hard steps like this. Next on the list is slither. So slithering, you might think of a snake. I think of a snake with slithering. You make sort of twisting movements like that, okay? You might want to hiss if you're joining in with this at home. Next up is dash. If you dash somewhere, you go there really quickly. So it can be a full-on run or just a quick walk. So I'm going to dash off now. See you later. Next up is stumble. If you're stumbling, you're kind of unsteady, tripping over a bit. So I'm stumbling around. Now we've got hurrying. If you hurry somewhere, then you're going quite quickly. I don't think of hurry as like a run though, more as a quick walk. So you might hurry to school if you're running late. So quick walk. Okay, and then finally we've got dawdle. If you dawdle, that's what I'm doing at the moment. I'm in no rush to get anywhere. You're kind of walking aimlessly, just dawdling around, no place to go. So yeah, those are the different movements. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. See you next time. Okay, so hopefully you enjoyed that little trip through those different verbs for movement. Okay, so now my job is to think about this. How do I think Deborah the dragon moves? I've decided, by the way, to name my dragon Deborah. I thought that was a good name for her. Okay, so Deborah the dragon. I've got all these verbs now. March, stroll, dart, so on. How do I think she moves? And for you guys at home, your question is similar. Looking at your mascot, how do you think your mascot would move? Okay, does it march? Does it stroll? Does it dawdle? What do you think? There are no right or wrong answers to this. It's up to you to decide. Okay, so I've decided, I think, choosing the right verbs for Deborah, I think Deborah stumbles quite a bit. I think she's quite unsteady on her feet. I think she probably stomps around. And I imagine she dawdles as well sometimes. Okay, so I've got 3 verbs here that describe how I think Deborah the dragon moves. I'm now going to put these verbs into sentences. So, what I want to do then is explain when and why she stumbles or stomps. Okay, because if you think about yourselves, you don't always move in exactly the same way, do you? Sometimes you might sort of stroll around if you're just having a nice walk outside. Other times you might be hurrying around if you're in a rush to get somewhere, okay? We don't just move in one way, do we? We move in lots of different ways. So I thought about when first of all. I thought about when Deborah stumbles and stomps, okay? So I've used that conjunction when to explain, okay? So here are my sentences that I've written. She stumbles around when she plays with her friends. She stomps around when she gets cross and even breathes fire out of her nose. So I'm thinking that she gets angry sometimes, she stomps around and breathes fire out of her nose, okay? So she stumbles when she plays with her friends. She stomps when she gets cross, okay? Or I could think about why she moves like that, okay? So she always dawdles because she's never in a rush to get anywhere, okay? So think about your mascot. Think about those verbs that you've chosen, okay? When does your mascot march if it marches? When does it dash? Why does it hurry, okay? Think about when and why your mascot moves like that. You can hit pause if you want now and just have a little think. Okay, so the second thing I want to go over is adding adverbs of manner. Can you remember what adverbs of manner are and what they do in a sentence? Have a little think. Okay, so adverbs of manner, well, I've got a list of them here: quickly, slowly, happily, sadly, anxiously, so on. Adverbs of manner often end with ly. They're those ly words, the ly words, okay? And they talk about the verb. They describe the verb, okay? So you might hurry quickly. You might dawdle happily. You might scurry anxiously, okay? So our second step then is to think about how we can add these adverbs of manner into our sentences. So let's have a look again at my sentences. First up I had, she stumbles around when she plays with her friends. Okay, now my adverb is going to describe how she stumbles, okay? So I've added in an adverb here and I've put, she clumsily stumbles around when she plays with her friends. So your adverb of manner is generally going to go before that verb, okay? She clumsily stumbles around when she plays with her friends. And that just describes in a bit more detail how she moves, okay? Second sentence, I had, she stomps around when she gets cross and even breathes fire out of her nose. Okay, so the main verb I was using here was stomps, okay? So any adverb I use is going to go before stomps. So she, well, I thought, angrily stomps around when she gets cross and even breathes fire out of her nose, okay? So that adds more detail, builds that picture of how she's stomping around. Third sentence, she always dawdles because she's never in a rush to get anywhere. Okay, well, again, my main verb here is dawdles. I need an adverb to describe how she dawdles. Perhaps you're thinking of some at home, maybe slowly. Let's see what I've gone for. I went for lazily. She always lazily dawdles because she's never in a rush to get anywhere. I've decided Deborah the dragon is quite a lazy dragon, okay? So there we go. Those are how we can add adverbs of manner into our sentences to make those sentences more descriptive. Okay, so in your resources packs today, I've given you a list of those verbs that I've acted out, plus some adverbs of manner, and these sentence starters. So he or she does something when, or he and she does something because, okay? So essentially you're doing a similar thing to what I've done, okay? Pick maybe 2 or 3 verbs that you think really capture how your mascot moves. Use adverbs of manner as well, and talk about when your mascot moves like that, okay? So for example, maybe you've picked stroll and you think they happily stroll. If you're strolling, you're probably happy. Maybe you sadly stroll, I don't know. But then you've got your adverb happily and your verb stroll. So let's say your mascot is a he. You might say, he happily strolls when he takes a walk in the park, okay? Or another one, maybe your mascot hurries, okay? And maybe, I think anxiously, that's when you're a bit worried. I think that'd be a good one for hurrying. So I'm going to go with, he anxiously hurries because he's always late when he's meant to meet someone, okay? So thinking about how your mascot might move, pick some verbs, use some adverbs of manner, and use those sentence starters just to describe how your character moves. Have fun with this, and thank you very much for watching.